Part 2 of today's lesson deals with the same division properties. However, we've got an extra power on the outside of a parentheses. So let's see what we end up doing on this first problem. Here we have 2 over 5 all to raise to that third power. So basically what we're going to do is treat this 2 having an exponent of 1. So if we don't see an exponent, you always put a 1 with those exponents. And then we use the rule from yesterday, which says that when we have an exponent on the outside, we multiply. The reason is that this is 3 groups of 2 over 5. And so we're multiplying the exponents for this problem. And so what we have is 2 to the 1 times by 3 over 5 to the first times by 3. And so when we go ahead and do that work, we've got 2 to the third power over 5 to the third power. And we continue going further, multiplying out those 3 2's, and we get 8. So a lot of people say, oh, it's 6, right? No, you don't multiply the exponent by the base. You do 2 times 2 times 2, which makes 4, and then times by 2, which makes 8. So the bottom is not 15, but 5 times 5 times 5, which makes 125. So 8 over 125 would be our answer. Well, same sort of thing on this one, except now we can reduce this fraction first. Use some of those properties that we did in part 1. So remember, exponent's 1 here. Reduce this. Take away that 1a from the bottom. Take it away from the top. And what we're left with is 2a's on top. Now, I can't reduce with the y because we have different bases. So let's rewrite what we've got. We've got an a to the second all over a y to the third power. And this is all being brought to that second power. And so what we'll do from there is just do the same thing we did on the last one. 2 groups of what's inside the parentheses, so you're multiplying. And so we just multiply exponents in this case. And so what's left over? Well, we've got now an a to the fourth power. And so I just multiplied those exponents. 2 times 2 made 4. And then y to what power? 6th power. That's right. 3 times 2. See, I'm multiplying. So I got 2 groups of y to the third. So it'd be like y to the third times y to the third, which would make y to the 6th power. And there's our answer. We're done. Well, problems get a little more complicated here. So here we have 2 sets of parentheses. So we got to reduce or simplify in the denominator first, then reduce in the numerator and denominator, then take those exponents on the outside. So let's do the work here. Remember, no exponent, you put an exponent of 1. And then we've got 2 groups of this, so we're going to multiply those exponents. So let's rewrite what we've got. We've got an x to the third left on top. Down below, we've got now an x to the fourth and a y to the second. So I did 2 times 2 to make the 4, 1 times 2 to make the 2. And still, we have to make sure to bring those parentheses down all to that third power. Well, from there, I'm going to go ahead and reduce. So I'm taking away 3 x's from the top. Take away 3 x's from the bottom. And I'm left with 1 x left on the bottom. Notice nothing's left on the top, so we have to have a number there. And that number is going to be 1. Because we always can multiply a number by 1. 1 times a number doesn't change anything. So that stays on top. But I've got an x, y to the second, all raised to that third power. Again, when we go ahead and do the work from here, we're multiplying the exponents because we have 3 groups of this. But on top, it's just going to be 1's being multiplied consecutively. So I don't need to bring 1 to the third power because 1 to the third power is the same thing as 1. See, again, 1 to the third equals 1 times 1 times 1, which is just equal to 1. So 1 is left on top, but down below, we multiply these exponents, and I've got now an x to the third and a y to the 6th. And that would be our answer. We don't have to go any further than that because it's simplified. There's no more x's, no more y's to collect. So I just did 3 times 1 to make the 3, 3 times 2 to make the 6, because it's 3 groups of what's inside the parentheses. 3 groups means y squared times y squared times y squared, and an x times x times x. So that makes x to the third, y to the 6th on the bottom of the fraction. Same sort of problem, very similar, just a's and b's rather than x's and y's, maybe a couple different exponents as well. And so all we're going to do is same sort of thing, b to the first power, don't see an exponent there, and then multiply those exponents because we have 2 groups of what's underneath that fraction. So what's left over? We still have that a to the third on top, but down below now we have an a to the sixth and a b to the second. And this is all being raised to the second power. Well, let's go ahead and reduce here. A to the third, those three a's are canceling out three a's on the bottom. And what that leaves us with are three a's on the bottom of the fraction. So let's see what's left over. Well, I've got now just a 1 on top. Down below, I've got an a to the third power, and I've got a b to the second. And this is still all being raised to that second power. So just as before, we have a 1 left on top. Well, 1 times a number doesn't change anything, so 1 times 1 is still going to be 1. So all I'm going to do is multiply these exponents, because I have two groups of this fraction. Two groups of a to the third just leaves me with that 1 over a to the sixth. Two groups of a to the third be a to the third times a to the third. Add those exponents up, you get 6. So you might as well just multiply, because two groups of 3 just makes 6 as well. And then it's b to the fourth. Again, 2 times 2 makes 4. And there is our answer. Well, this problem doesn't have those inside parentheses, so we can just go ahead and start reducing as we have it now. So we got 1x on the bottom. That's going to cancel out 1x on top, leaving us with 2x's on top. Now, when I do this, I like to go ahead and rewrite what I've got, because it gets kind of messy as I do this problem. So right away, I'm going to write down x to the second, so I remember that that is there. I put that on top. Now, I go back to the y's. So I'm taking out 4y's from the top and taking 4y's from the bottom, leaving me with just 4y's on the bottom of the fraction. So again, right away, I rewrite what's left over. I have 4y's on the bottom. And that's it. So I'll just erase portion of my fraction bar there and rewrite the parentheses around this fraction with the 2 on the outside. So what this means is I'm squaring this. I've got two groups of what's inside those parentheses. So when I do that, I'm multiplying these exponents. So let's see what's left over. Well, I've got now an x to the fourth power because I multiplied those exponents. 2 times 2 made 4. Down below, I've got 2 times 4 makes 8, so y to the 8th. And that would be our answer. Well, last problem here. We've got some simplifying we've got to do before we can do some reducing. So let's see what we can do here. Well, remember, now we've got the 3 inside the parentheses, and it's being raised to the third power. So I'm going to put a 1 on that exponent, on that coefficient, 1 on this coefficient as well. And now let's multiply those exponents. So when I do that, I'm going to get a 3 to the third power, and then I've also got an x to the sixth power. So the way I got that was that I multiplied the 3 and the 1 and got 3. Multiplied the 3 and the 2 and I got 6 because it's 3 groups of what is in here. Down below, I've got 2 groups of 2x to the fourth. So that's going to make 2 squared and x to the 8th power. Because again, you've got 2 groups of 2, which makes 2 squared. 2 groups of x to the fourth makes x to the fourth times x to the fourth makes x to the 8th. Now we can go ahead and reduce and multiply. So no negative exponents, so we just go ahead and leave those numbers where they're at and go ahead and just cancel out some x's. So I got 6 x's on top. We're going to take 6 x's from the bottom. And so I can also multiply out these 3's as well. So let's see what's left on top. Well, when I multiply out the 3's, I get 27. When I multiply out those 2's, I get 4. And what's on the bottom here? Well, x to the second power is left as well. And that would be our answer. So those are the problems we'll see tonight. Tomorrow we're going to deal with some more negative exponents.